Okay. Hello, I'm Sandy Johnson, and I'm on the Tilco Dems Nomination Committee. And the Nominations Committee is currently seeking nominations and exploring nominations for the position of second vice chair. And to give you some idea of what a second vice chair does, we have Mary McGinnis and Cole Bricking up with me today, and they have both served as vice chairperson, and they will be able to answer some of our questions on what a second vice chairperson does. First, to begin though, I will basically go over the bylaws of the Tilco Dems second vice chairperson duties. And those duties are to preside in the absence of the chairperson and vice chairperson, and act as chairperson when the offices are vacated or until a successor is elected. The second vice chairperson also assists the chairperson and assumes other duties as assigned by the chairperson. That person also serves as the first alternate delegate to the SCC and the CD. The second vice chair facilitates the work of standing committees and maintains and distributes roster of committee officers and members in cooperation with the first vice chairperson. The second vice chairperson will be an authorized signer on bank accounts if the first vice chairperson declines or is unable to accept the role. The second vice chairperson may attend all committee meetings as a non-voting member unless membership is granted by the committee procedure. Now, Cole and Mary have both served as vice chairpersons. Cole in the second vice chair position and Mary in the first vice chair position, a position she currently holds. Now, maybe we could start with you, Mary. Can you give some ideas about what it was like to serve in this as a vice chairperson?
It's actually, I think, pretty exciting, and I dare you even use the word fun, because I get to work with everyone in the party, and I've been able to get to know all of the central committee, all of the committees, standing committees, and their chairs, and that interaction with people has made it a lot of fun. The workload is pretty evenly distributed between the chair and the first and the second vice chair. So there's not too much work on anyone's plate, so to speak. Yeah, there's a lot of cooperation and a lot of sharing of the workload, and then just a lot of how can I help you and get to know you.
Cole, do you have some words that you'd like to share regarding the position of a vice chair?
Just a vice chair generally, or the second vice chair specifically? Is that?
Well, since you have served as second vice chair, you can be more specific.
I guess so, and I have not served as first vice chair. But you know, when you were reading the description of the bylaws, I just realized that the bylaws, according to the bylaws, there's not much differentiation of what the function of first vice chair and second vice chair is. And if I remember correctly, and Mary, you may have to refresh my memory on how this all evolved. When we decided we were going to elect a second vice chair, we chose to kind of follow the distinction that is used in Multnomah County between what first vice chair does and second vice chair does. And there, second vice chair is basically responsible for anything to do with PCPs. And so that is what led to kind of the division of responsibility that you and I used during the course of this last year, or however long it's been, where I was mostly the liaison to the membership committee, and you know, which is responsible for PCPs. and you were the sort of the coordinator of all the other committee work. Even though, you know, I may have had a coordination responsibility according to the bylaws, I didn't feel like I had, you know, I felt like you were the coordinator, and I was just kind of like liaison to membership, which was really what I was mostly interested in doing. Is that right, or is that?
That's how it ended. And I'll add a little clarification to that. The bylaws actually make the job of the second vice chair as a position that only assumes a lot of responsibility if the chair and the first vice chair can assume that responsibility. If the chair is out of town, if Cole goes on this amazing vacation and is out of town, then the first vice chair takes that position. But if I happen to go on an amazing vacation also, then the second vice chair would serve as chair while we're out of town. So it sort of follows a linear distinction like that, that most of the responsibility falls first to the first vice chair and then to the second. The only place where it's not so linear is in the facilitating and coordinating the work of the committees. And it actually doesn't say that, the bylaws don't say that membership it should be part of the second vice chair. That was a coordination between Cole and me. We met one day on Zoom and just said, what are our interests and what committees need help in a place where we can put it. And so we coordinated that. And with the new second vice chair, there will be a similar meeting between them and me, and we'll re-coordinate and see what they need. My hope is, because Cole has laid down such a solid path for the second vice chair, working with the membership committee, my hope is that would continue.
Okay. But what you're saying actually, though, is it can be a flexible position as far as specifics on what is actually done?
Yes, and
Okay.
just generally working with the first vice chair to coordinate, but certain things, yeah.
Okay. Cole, what did you find to be like the most fun thing about the position of second vice chair?
The most fun thing. Well, like I say, I've had kind of a long-standing interest in making the job of the PCP more meaningful, kind of empowering, and just, you know, I felt like in the last year we accomplished some of that, and that was just fun. You know, I enjoy working with people in a, you know, even though a lot of people don't like committee work, I find it fun. I just enjoy the social interaction in small groups, which is kind of what you have in working on a committee like this, which is mostly what you're doing in this vice chair, or what I was doing in the second vice chair job, just attending committee meetings and working in small groups. And for me, that just, I enjoy that a lot more than being in a great big, you know, presentations and all that kind of stuff with big groups is stressful, not enjoyable. But second vice chair was fun. I think Mary's right about that.
Okay. And Mary, what did you find most rewarding about being a vice chair?
Thank you. I've already talked about how I like the interaction with all of the different committees and the central committee, but expanding on that a little bit, there's an interaction generally within the party, because I like going to the congressional district meetings. I like going to the DPO. I don't want to use acronyms. So going to the Democrat Party of Oregon Central Committee meetings. I like knowing what's going on. And the thing with the second vice chair is they have access to all of that too. They're an alternate delegate to the congressional districts and the DPO, but they still get all the emails. They can attend the meetings as a non-voting member. So it just, I think to me, the most rewarding part is just interacting with people, being a part of decision-making. I like that.
Okay, great. So in the interest of full disclosure, what are the greatest challenges in being a vice chair? Cole, would you like to begin?
Well, the volume of email can be a challenge. There are people who have strategies for managing lots and lots of email that I'm sure would work better than my strategy. But when I became a second vice chair, the volume of email I was getting went up a lot, and I should have probably worked out some better way of dealing with it. Some people will use a separate email inbox for each compartment of their life, and I've always found that when I try to do something like that, I'll just forget for too long to check that inbox, and then I'm way behind when I do. So I've just always used one inbox, and it gets to be a lot. So that was the main thing.
Okay. And how about for you, Mary?
I would say, I would echo that. The email is a lot, and not all of it, and sometimes even a great deal of it is not something that the second vice chair would even have to respond to. But until they read it, they don't know that. That's where the a lot comes in. I think also maybe having things be time sensitive. Sometimes in those emails or in actions that the second vice chair has to do. There's a deadline, and so they have to be willing to work within those time constraints.
Okay. What do you see as the future of vice chair work? Do you anticipate that it will be similar to the experience that you had, Cole, or do you foresee some changes?
Well, I'm sure there'll be changes, and it will probably depend on who we can get to step up into this role and kind of what their interests are. I think that that one of the main differences is likely to be just that the vice chairs, both first vice chair and second vice chair, are likely to need to do more, because at the moment I'm still trying to work a full-time job, and even when I'm fully retired, which will happen within the next month or two, I don't anticipate being able to be as productive and I don't know, just attentive and engaged, and capable as a lot of the people I've seen in the chair position have been pretty hard workers, and not that I'm not, but I probably need more help than other chairs, and so I rely real heavily on Mary, probably a little bit too much, and well,
You're good.
So you anticipate delegating some of the duties
absolutely
to get the work done?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not shy about asking. And I almost never just ask a group of people. I don't ask a group of people if anyone is willing to do something, right? I think that's kind of a recipe for overloading the most willing people. So what I do is I point to specific people and I say, would you do this? Now, I don't think I'm gonna have time to do this. Would you Joe, would you do this? And I'm almost certainly gonna do that.
Okay.
Because I can't handle the whole, I'm not the boss of the organization, right? As the chair. And I just kind of, I'm really kind of figuring out what the job is. I've seen it from the outside. I've seen a bunch of people do it, observing, but I've never actually been a chair of a county party organization before. So it turns out there's a lot to learn.
Okay. And Mary, you have seen the role of chair and second vice chair from your position as vice chair. Do you anticipate seeing some changes with the second vice chair position now?
I think it's open to changes. I'll put it that way. Cole is actually our first second vice chair. We created the position as second vice chair at my request, because before that we only had one vice chair, and that was me.
Okay.
And I saw that in a volunteer organization like this, in order to have sustainable work for a long period of time, people need to take breaks. They need to have life outside the work we're doing. And younger people have families to attend to, and we all have recreational and travel plans. So I asked for a second vice chair position, and so we could share the workload. And we just sat down and created bylaws and policies based on what we thought other county parties did. And as I said, Cole is the first person to serve in that. So I think that means that as it morphs and as it grows, the next person can come forward and say, I've been in this position for a little while, and I think it would work if we did this, this, and this. So I think there's a great deal of potential for it to morph and grow, since it is such a new position.
Okay, great. Can you give me an estimate on how much time per month a second vice chair might anticipate having to or be spending on Tilco Dem's work? Mary?
It's kind of a funky situation. I'll just say it that way, because we've had so many online meetings and we haven't had travel time to meetings. So as we open up and we start traveling to Tilco Dem meetings, that will affect the amount of time involved. But I would say, and I would also say real quickly that it depends on what activities that the Tilco Dems are involved in. It was very intense as first vice chair during the election cycle. And then for a couple months after that, I probably spent maybe 10 hours a week on it. And then it will pick up again as the election cycle comes. If I had to pick an average, I would say county meetings that I go to, maybe 15 to 17 hours a week, maybe.
Okay. Does that sound about the amount you had spent, Cole, in that position?
Oh, I think I spent a little less time, but I probably should have spent more. I was just trying to think, probably about an hour a day on average. But then when you add in meetings, and the meetings there's usually at least a couple meetings per week. Mm-hmm. So you add those in, it's probably right about what Mary was saying.
Okay. And then there was that little thing called employment that also got in the way of things.
Well, I might also add that maybe I'm a really slow worker. Maybe someone else could do what I do quicker.
No, you're very productive, Mary. I'm amazed at what you can get done in a day.
Okay. What way did you decide you wanted to run or be considered for a vice chair position, Cole?
Oh,
you were rather new to our organization when you became the second vice chair.
Well, Fred asked me to consider doing it, and I'm trying to think what was my role before then. I think I was maybe vice chair of the ad hoc infrastructure committee. I think that. So mostly I was just doing a lot of, whatever needed to be done technically, computer-wise. And that felt okay. But I kind of knew that I could be more useful. So that's when, when Fred asked, I said, sure, I could do that. And, I had the advantage of having seen it done in Multnomah County. And so I was kind of imagining what the job would be like, just kind of seeing what the VC2 did in Multnomah County. I think what I wound up experiencing is just a lot more collegiality. I don't think the vice chair 2 there is included on everything, right? But here, it's the small group of people is the admin, the officers, and challenging issue comes up and we all jump in and talk about it and kind of help the chair solve it. And everybody's included, which is, I think, a little different from, the way it was in Multnomah County. So it was a pleasant surprise. But I guess that's way off track of what your question was, but yeah, I was asked to do it.
Okay, so the former chair knew your technique of pointing to people and saying. So we haven't done that yet for this position, but hopefully this video will help encourage people to explore possibly running as the second vice chair.
Yeah.
Would either of you have any closing statements or closing comments that you'd like to make regarding the second vice chairperson position? Mary?
I just think that it's an opportunity for people who have a passion for politics, for one thing. And Cole and I would both tell you, I think that we're kind of political nerds, political junkies, maybe. And also for people who want to make a difference, because the Tilco Dems really do make a difference in their community, in our community, helping get people elected, helping establish policies. And it's just a good way to be at the forefront and really dig in and help contribute to the community. So I would say that in my closing, that if someone really likes politics, or even likes politics a little, and if they really want to make a difference in the community, this is a way to do it.
Okay, thank you. Cole, same question.
Well, I think Mary stated it pretty well. I think the main opportunity here is, it's a great learning opportunity to kind of see what the party organization is like, kind of from the inside, right? You kind of step into it. When you're on the admin, you're seeing everything from the inside out. And you'd learn a lot that way. And you don't necessarily have to take the job with any ambition to move up the organizational ladder and use that for any particular thing. But it's interesting and rewarding to just kind of see how things work. And often, what you're seeing there is how much need there is, right? You're not seeing, oh, wow, everything is just lockstep and there's a system in place and I've got to learn it so I can be a cog in the machine. And what you're actually learning is, oh, wow, there's just a few people who are doing everything and they need a lot of help. And maybe gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't jump in and help more sooner. And there's a lot for me to do here. There's a lot here that I can contribute because the need is so great. And sometimes the need is just for warm bodies to be present. When a difficult decision is having to be made, that's a hard thing for a chairperson to do on his or her own. You need some people around to just kind of talk that through and come to kind of a group decision. And even if all you can contribute is a listening ear, right? No particular wisdom, no experience or knowledge to contribute, just to be a listener and a warm body in the room, basically, is a great contribution. And, we need that. We just need more people involved. I'm not, asking for someone just to come and be a lump, because we got a lot of work to do. And Mary will get mad at you if you don't carry your fair share, but not really. But whenever I was just not able to get to something, I was always able to ask for help. Just be able to say, I can't get to this. Can you handle this? Or could we, have somebody else be responsible for this? And it was always totally fine. But yeah, if your time resources are limited, we might still want to have you on the team.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate both of you taking the time to share your experiences and wisdom regarding the second vice chairperson position, and look forward to hearing from the Tilco Dems on who may be interested in serving in the position. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.